Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, I hope you're having a superb December 25th today, and Merry Santa Day to all of you. Welcome back to r/Entitled People, where in today's episode, you'll hear all about entitled people being super entitled during the Christmas season. Just like this person right here who says on Facebook, "My neighbor decorates for the holidays. Now, it's nice, but it's been the same decorations for the past 20 years. How can I nicely tell them that we want something else?" Or this person right here who says, "Christmas time is coming up soon, and me and my husband are trying to get our daughter Christmas gifts. But this year we can't, due to trying to get a house so we're not homeless. Does anybody have or know someone that can spare gifts, or know what to do, or places I can get free Christmas help? Anything will help." And this person comes in to suggest the Salvation Army, which then gets this reply. "I heard they only give 2 toys, and I don't want her to have a Christmas with just 2 toys. Like, really? Anything will help? Like, what does this person expect? 2 toys is way more than no toys." My friends, if you think that's entitled, wait until you hear the stories in this one. Subscribe if you haven't, and the email link is going to be up right here. And hey, guys, I let Steve-O out of his cage for just this one day to celebrate with his family. For all who care, okay? We're going to dive in, guys. Okay, so this story is not as entitled as others, but earlier this month, my mom kicked me out and tried to have me sectioned. She made it very clear that I was never welcome back home again. So for Christmas, I had planned to send her away to the Azores, a very beautiful cluster of islands off the coast of Portugal, for her and my stepfather. The flights, the villa, etc. are all paid for. Now, my youngest sister let it slip that I arranged this for her and had planned to gift it to her on Christmas Day. So after 3 weeks of no contact between us, I get this text. She says, "Hey, I hope you're having a good Christmas. I'm missing you. I just want to know when you're going to send us on that holiday that you bought for us. You can send it to us in the post if you want, so we don't have to see each other. And hey, it's so nice that you've done this for us. Thank you and have a good new year." Now, I was fuming. I replied with, "Sorry, I think you have the wrong phone number." And then I gifted it to my brother and his girlfriend as their first holiday away. The nerve of that mom, right? "You, get out of my house and never come back. But I heard you got me a vacation, so can I have it? But I also don't want to see you in person, so can you just send the plane tickets and let us know where we're gonna stay at?" I'm glad Opie treated her brother to that vacation though, and I hope he rubs it in mom's face about how much he loved it and how awesome the trip was. Okay, so this story happened yesterday when I was working Christmas Eve at my retail job. I had already worked a full shift and was staying a bit longer since someone had no-called and no-showed. I had maybe about 2 hours left before I can go home, and that's when the Karen shows up in my line. Now, this particular woman is infamous at the store, and everybody tries to avoid her as much as possible, since she's a crusading type of mom who makes sure you know exactly what she stands for, because she's gonna go out of her way to tell you. And God help you, if you're one hair out of line when it comes to her ideals. So I guess today, her cause was mental health. Anyways, she gets up to me, and of course, she has a million different questions about various items that I just don't have the answer to. She then wants to do price matching on like everything in her shopping cart. And if that wasn't bad enough, she's got her daughter with her, and she wants her girl to pay separately from her. I waste about 5 to 10 minutes dealing with her and her stupid crap when the other people in line are yelling at me to hurry up. So I get her and her daughter through the line without many issues, and just when I think I'm done with her, I make the mistake of saying, "Happy Holidays," as I hand the bags to her. I start ringing up the next customer, and I notice that she's still kinda skulking about. About halfway through me getting through the next person in line, Karen comes behind the counter, she stands right next to me, and has a conversation with me saying, "Hi, sorry, but I don't mean to bother you. And listen, I know you don't mean anything by it, but you really shouldn't be saying happy holidays to people. There's just people with depression and other conditions, and you could trigger them with language like that, since they feel like they have to be happy." I say to her, "Okay, can you please step away from my area here?" Now, I was super irritated, and my tone definitely reflected that. And Karen says, "You can drop that attitude, honey. You're the one out there endangering people by saying stupid things like that, and right now you're being very rude." And with that I say, "Okay, can you please step back?" And at this point, the customer I'd been ringing up is getting really angry, and she starts yelling at me for getting distracted, which was fair. I go back to ringing her out, and Karen decides that she's gonna step even closer, standing less than an inch away from me, and she continues to try to have my undivided attention. And I finally had enough and said, "Hey, stand the F back." Things proceeded to devolve from here. Her daughter starts to cry. Like, that obnoxiously loud kind of crying. The Karen's yelling, my new customer's yelling. The whole thing's just a mess. Security eventually comes and has to pull her away from me. And a few minutes after that, my manager pulls me off the floor and someone else takes my place at the register. To make a long story short, my manager wants me to apologize to that lady. I told him I wouldn't, and he ends up sending me home about an hour early as a result. Now, I didn't get fired for that, but I did get written up. I was told my behavior was unacceptable, and if it happens again, I'm fired. Oh guys, listen, this happens a lot during the Christmas season. I once saw a Walmart employee get berated because he said Merry Christmas to this one woman. Now, I don't remember the exact words, but this woman caused a huge scene saying, "You can't assume everybody celebrates this holiday. I'm not Christian, so don't say that to me." Like, it was such an awkward situation. And everybody was just like, okay, can we just get our stuff scanned? So I'm a 30-year-old male, and the other day, I got lucky and managed to get a hold of a PlayStation 5, which are like gold at the moment. Work has been ridiculous this year, and my PlayStation 4 broke a few months back, so to say that I'm hyped for it is an understatement. The console finally arrived the other day, and it was left with my neighbor. So I knock on the door, thank them for taking the parcel, and exchange some pleasantries, when she casually asked if it was anything nice. I told her it was a PlayStation 5, and we had the usual small talk, and I went back inside, thinking nothing of it. So later, we had a knock on the door from her husband, who's around 38 years old. He said that his wife had mentioned that I'd gotten a PlayStation 5 and that they wanted one for their 7-year-old son. He told me it's all his son wanted this year, and it's been a tough year for his son, as he's not been able to see his friends much, so would I consider selling it to them for what I bought it for? I told him I understood, but I didn't really want to sell it, as I was really looking forward to playing with it. And this is when things get a little bit weird. The guy huffs a little and said that Christmas should be about kids, and that I should really consider how hard it's been for them, and he offered me an extra $50 on top of it. Now, I told him I wouldn't be selling it for any price, as I wasn't looking to make money on it, I just really wanted to play it. So the guy laughed and said that he hoped I'd reconsider, as, quote, "You and I are a bit old for video games anyway." And then he walked off. Now that's the end of the story, or so I thought. The next day, he comes over again, this time with his son. He said his son really wanted to see the PlayStation 5 that he heard about. The boy then said to me that that's what he really wanted for Christmas and hoped that Santa would get him one. And with that, I replied that hopefully he would, but it's really busy for him this year, so he might have to wait a little bit longer for it. But if not, I'm sure he'd get something nice instead. So another day passes, and my fiance said that they had posted something weird on social media about how they thought that with all this corona going around, it would have made people less selfish and more giving, and that they were disappointed in their neighborhood, which had forgotten the community spirit and how people should be more thoughtful towards children, given how much they've suffered this year. So off the back of it, my fiance asked if I should sell them the console just to keep the peace. Later that day, they come to my house again. Now apparently they told their son that I had promised him that he'd be getting a PlayStation 5 for Christmas, and now it's gonna be ruined if he didn't get one. The dad then proceeds to say that I'm an adult and I should be thinking of kids at Christmas, not acting like one, playing video games. He also told me that I was being unbelievably selfish and cruel. He also added that he didn't know how we could enjoy Christmas, knowing that we were horrible people that ruined a 7-year-old's Christmas. Now, I've also heard from some people on the street that they've been talking about us. We live in a super nice neighborhood, but it's firmly middle class. There's lots of private school kids called Hattie, Sebastian, etc., and we're definitely the youngest on the street, and considered the weird, childless couple. My fiance just wants to sell it to them to end it, but I'm trying to hold firm. Yeah, definitely don't sell them that console. Entitled people are like raccoons. Like, you give them what they want and they'll keep coming back expecting more and more, and when they don't get it, they're gonna go through your trash and leave a mess everywhere. So every year when Christmas comes around, we all decorate our houses appropriately. Fairy lights, trees, inflatable fat men, all that crap. My family, however, has one decoration that's slightly unique. It's a 12-foot tall reindeer made of lights. Now, it's quite the spectacle, if you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, every year I set them up to the neighbors' glee. This year, however, the lady next door, Karen, has really irked me. She had her lights set up on the 20th of November. the 20th. Now, that's just absurd in my opinion, but I'd never say that of course, as it's her right to do as she pleases to her house. The other day on the 3rd of December, she caught me coming home from work. I was getting out of the car when she comes wandering over and she says, "Merry Christmas," poking her head through my ajar door. Now that did startle me and I said, "Oh, yeah, hi." The woman then says, "So any chance we'll be seeing the reindeer this year?" I tell her, "Oh, yeah, I'll probably set him up sometime next week," trying to get out of my car. She then says to me, "So you're leaving it a bit late, aren't you?" And with that, I just laughed it off and said, "Oh, yeah, I guess so." Now, I thought that was the end of it, and boy was I wrong. I've been crazy busy lately, leaving early and getting home late, as it's that time of year. So I planned on waiting until the next weekend to do the decorations. The crazy neighbor caught up to me again getting home from work, and she's just waiting for me. She says, "So, are you gonna be setting up your lights this weekend?" I told her I'm afraid not. I'm not around, but definitely next weekend though. Now, I did say that with a smile, and she didn't return the favor. She said, "What? Next weekend? You can't wait that long. My kids are dying to see that reindeer. You can't do that to them." I tell her I'm sorry, I'm just too busy. And she replies, "Well, that's just disgusting. How can you do that to kids at Christmas? You have an obligation to make your house look nice for Christmas." And with that, she storms off. Like, am I really the a-hole for setting up my lights at my own discretion? And listen, she just strings up cheap lines of light on her porch, and she thinks she's done a great job. So I plan on setting up the reindeer squatting on her lawn and then putting a big heap of crap under it. Horse, pig, or mine, I haven't decided. Honestly, if I was OP, I would bust out the Halloween decorations right then and there. "Oh, force me to put up decorations, Karen? You don't get to choose." Like, it's so ridiculous how she expects OP to put up her decorations when all the Karen has are basic string lights. Like, if you want reindeers, go buy the reindeers. Back in the 90s, when I was a child, I had an insane passion for cats. Cat pillows, cat stuffed animals, cat figurines, you name it. Now, this new toy had come out called Kitty Kitty Kittens, where the stuffed cat made a purring sound when you moved them around. There were commercials, and I wanted one really badly. The local big box store was having a huge October pre-Christmas sale on the toys, so my mom and her friend decided that they were going to go together to stock up for the kids. While there, my mom sees an entire row of kitty kitty kittens. She then scoops up one of every color for me to slowly pass out for the rest of the year, one per holiday. She says there were still plenty left after she took one of each. She then picks up a couple of more toys, but now she's done and feeling pretty happy to have gift shopping done for the rest of the year. My mom is patiently waiting for her friend, and she's leaning against her cart looking around, when suddenly she hears the telltale purring sound. She then turns to find the Karen digging through her cart with several kitty kitty kittens already in hand. My mom says to her, "Excuse me, what are you doing? This is my cart." And at that, the Karen says, "They're all sold out now, and you have all of these. I have 4 kids, and they each need one." My mom then tells her, "Well, I got here early, and I put these in my cart already, so you snooze, you lose. Put them back." At this, Karen shrieks and says, "You have 6. I'm still leaving you with 2 after I take the 4. How many do you need?" My mom says, "You're leaving me 6. She then grabs the kitty kitty kittens from Karen's hand and puts them back in her cart. Karen grabs onto my mom's cart and yanks it towards herself, says, "Why are you being so selfish? My kids need this for Christmas." Now, they go back and forth for a while, and after a few more screeches from Karen and some cart tugging, my mom's friend rounds the corner and she rushes over. Karen didn't like the odds, so she backed off. My mom mentioned that the Karen continued to follow her around the store, talking loudly about her, saying, "Look, some people are so selfish, leaving nothing for others." My mom also told me that the doors open for the sale at 5 a.m., and she'd been in line waiting specifically to get the kitty kitty kittens for me. So she made a beeline for them and grabbed all the colors first. The Karen didn't know about this, and she showed up later in the morning, which makes the "you snooze, you lose" comment make a bit more sense. So I was wandering through a store that we'll call Bullseye when I come up to the register and I hear the sound of a feminine voice starting to rise. So me being the nosy person I am, I hung around to listen to the drama. I can hear a Karen berating a poor store employee, screaming, saying, "But you have to have it in stock. The website says you do." The website isn't always accurate. It's better to call the store. And Karen says, "But I need this item. Where else can I get it?" The person tells her that she can probably get it at another store, and she says, "I don't want to go to another store. I want it at this store." So at this point, the manager hears this and he walks over and says, "Hi, can I help you?" Karen then turns to the manager and says, "I need this item, but she," gesturing at the employee, "says you don't have it in stock." The manager says, "Unfortunately, that's a very popular item and we sold out really quickly." Karen then asks where else she can get one, and the manager says that she'll be able to find it at another store. Karen then says again, "I will not go to another store. I want it at this store." At this point, I can see her calming down when the manager tells her that he can have it ordered for her if she wants it at this store. She then asks how long it's gonna take, and the manager says, "Right now, about 2 weeks." She then says it's not gonna work as she needs it for her kids for Christmas. The Karen's yelling, so he says to please keep your voice to reasonable levels, and Karen screams, "F you. I'll yell if I want to. You're being stupid." The security guard's on his way, and he says, "I'm rescinding your right to shop here. Please leave the store." Now at this, Karen does put up an argument, but then she goes quiet for a moment and spins on her heel and storms quickly away. Karen then looks back and says, "I'm gonna call corporate. I know a higher up manager there. I swear, I will." And then we hear a bang. Karen didn't see the door in front of her and she promptly walked into it. Multiple people started to laugh at this point, including the security guard. The employee was hiding her face, and the manager was going through a titanic struggle to keep composure. Karen then makes the decision to turn around and starts swearing at everybody who was laughing. She says, "Shut up. Shut up, all of you. I'm gonna sue the store. You're all gonna be jobless by Christmas Day." She then turns to walk out the door, not realizing by this point she was behind the sensor range, and she walked into the closed door again. She then lets out a scream of rage and she starts pounding on the door. No one could hold back this time. Seeing someone storm into a closed door twice in a row was beyond hilarious. Everybody who was watching was howling with laughter, while Karen was screaming at the door to open. The security guard then walks forward and waves to the sensor, making the door open. Karen lets out another scream and she storms out. Well, isn't that nice? Instant karma for yelling at the employee. Guys, Christmas can bring out the worst in some people. And this person says, "I once worked at the giraffe toy store. Between Black Friday and Christmas, I don't think there was a day where we didn't have to call the cops because of Karens and Chads verbally or physically abusing staff. And one Karen deliberately rams her full shopping cart into someone at the front end. Forgot whether it was over a discount which she felt entitled or something else, but she was arrested for assault. That store had so many Karens." This story is something that happened to me and my fiance fairly recently. We had recently bought our first home together in a nice quiet area in north of England. Now, if you're not familiar with the British postal system, basically, we get letters delivered through flaps in the front doors, and parcels that are larger than the letterbox get handed to us if we're in. But if we're not, they get given to a neighbor and we collect them later. If no one can take them, they get taken back to the depot, where they sit or returned back to the sender. So last month, we were just settling into the new home, and my fiance bought some clothes online for the local gym he wants to join. I was in the house on the day of the delivery as I was expecting it, and I'm working from home. When the lady arrives with a parcel, there were two. Now I thought nothing of it at first, and I put it into the garage for my fiance to open later on. When he comes home from work, he rushes in to open the delivery like it was Christmas, and to his surprise, the second parcel's not for him. It had our address on it, but no name. We were both confused at this point, and thought that it might be for one of the neighbors and they'd collect it later. Time goes by, and we get a note through the front door that reads, "Hey, my son got his parcel delivered to your house. Call me on this number so I can come collect it." Again, we thought it was a neighbor, so my fiance calls the number and a woman answers it and say that she'll be over shortly to collect the parcel. So it turns out that she lives across town and her son chose our address to have it delivered to. Now we thought this was weird, but we assumed it must have been a mistake. Anyways, we thought that was the last of it, but the next day I get 2 more parcels for the lady's son. Again with no name, but with our address on the package. At this point, I'm thinking it's a mistake on their part, or possibly they used to live here. So they come to collect their parcels and all is well. But guess what? More and more parcels keep coming. For the lady's son. At this point, I'm starting to get really annoyed by this, even though I work from home. I can't leave meetings constantly to collect parcels that's not even ours. So the next day when the parcel lady comes, I just tell her, "Sorry, this isn't meant for me, and you'll need to return it to the sender." So she goes off and takes the parcel back to the depot. A few hours later, I get a knock on the door, and guess who? the entitled mother standing there with her son. Now, I do hate confrontation, so my memory of the conversation's a bit hazy, but she was furious that we denied her parcel and now she had to wait for it to be re-delivered. I told her she needs to get her parcels delivered to her own home as it's weird and inconvenient for me. Like, I don't even know this lady. She then tells me it's easier for her to get them delivered to my home as I'm always in and she isn't. Now, maybe this possibly would have been okay if I was friends with her and she asked, but she lives across town and she just chose a random address for her parcels. Anyways, she leaves and I think this may be the end of the story, but parcels keep showing up for the next week and I politely tell the parcel lady that they aren't mine and to return it to the sender. After a week of doing this, I stopped getting parcels, so I guess she got the message. Guys, how entitled must this woman have been to think it's okay to get parcels delivered to a random person's home that she doesn't even know because it's easier for her? Like, how does she know that OP was always home? And why would you send a package to a complete stranger's house and just expect them to give it to you? Like, would it have been a crime if OP just kept the packages? Because clearly it was sent to her address, so it could have been considered a present from a random person, right? And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the Christmas stories today, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'll link it right here. A Karen's furious when a lifeguard saves her son's life, so check it out if you haven't, and myself and Steva will see you guys in the next one. We love you.